Welcome back to the Hangin with Web show right here on HWWS WebTV. I'm GW Pomichter. Hit subscribe. Please. Hit it. Please. Hit it. Hit the little bell. Come back over and over again because we've got artists, authors, filmmakers, musicians, and that's right here now. That's not even the other episodes that we have. We've got a lot of stuff here, so hit subscribe, smash the bell, come back over and over again. We're hanging out right now with Hangin with Web show alumnus, journalist, actor, writer, creator, above average golfer, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, really?
Kinda.
Okay,
I haven't played in like 10 years, but I can
You
hold
probably
that
get
title.
in there. Yeah, you kind of hold that, right?
Yeah,
all right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the set, Josh Whitener. Josh,
Hey,
how are you,
everybody.
man? So good to see you
It is very
again.
good to see you in these Bob Dylan times, I say.
I know.
Yeah.
It is. It's crazy, man.
It is.
It has been months and months since any of us have been able to actually do anything.
That's right.
You've been editing over at the newspaper, so
Yeah,
you've had
job's been the job.
you've been jobbing it for these months.
Yeah, we're essential, but the paper.
I don't care
still-
what you think. Yes,
The
we are
paper-
essential. Journalism is an essential thing.
Yeah, Hometown News is kept going.
You guys have been
hopefully,
rocking it.
yeah, hopefully we've been, providing the same content that we can. I know a lot of events got canceled and things, so that kind of limits you to what is printed or what we
Yeah,
try to tell stories about. But yeah,
you can't get the news if you can't go
if there's
get
no
the
news to get,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I mean, in a way, it's been kind of nice because the calendar is non-existent. Some things had to be rearranged on the paper itself, but we did good, yeah. And now we're
I
back
want to be a fly on the wall for Josh's weekly budget meeting, so that he can sit there and listen to all the reporters say, "I'm gonna find some news."
Yeah.
Because I mean, there were weeks when at the budget meeting when I was like, I don't know what I'm covering this week. It really depends on what happens.
Luckily, we have a great writer, Brittany Mulligan, who's been, providing all the content. I can provide stories sometimes, but I'm the editorial assistant's job is nonstop. You got to keep those crime reports going. You got to keep the obituaries running. But it's been fine. I
remember I was there in the beginning, the earlier days for Hometown News, and so
OG.
The OG Hometown News crew here, and our everything was we had our story budgets every week, but then we rotated around the room who was going to do crime report, who was going to do rants and raves.
Turns and stuff
we took
on that?
So
that's nice.
There'd be like that one week when I would be sitting there and I'd be like, I've got 6 stories to do,
Yeah.
and it's my turn to do the crime report. So there I am, like all morning long, sheriff reports, crunching it out, and I'm sure having an editorial assistant, someone who can monitor all this stuff, is probably huge for the paper itself.
Yeah.
For you, not so much.
Well, and I was thinking about it, I have been working, and a lot of people that unfortunately either lost their jobs or they were working from home or whatever. You saw this surge of creativity of a lot of the artists in our community, and then elsewhere.
Speaking of which, you got project after project coming down the pipe,
and that's what I was
man.
thinking about. I was like, man, the last time we had an interview back to back was right after
Trickster came out.
Yeah,
We
Trickster
talked
came
about
out.
Trickster. You guys don't know, we're going to drop links down below. This is Josh's comic. Trickster. This is issue 1. Which,
Issue 2 is in the works still, and
we'll drop some links for issue 1 so you could find it online wherever
Sure.
it is. He's working on issue 2 while he's editing at the newspaper, while he's acting. You got acting bits coming up here. Acting's been shut down for the last 4 months.
We were talking about that, and I think it's strange, and it's kind of so optimistic of me to think though, okay, as this is starting to get back to normal, I can do an audition, get a role, and I have something set up for next month. That's cool, and it's just rolling back into the creative side that I kind of put on the back burner during all this because work just kind of a lot of people deal with what happened differently.
Something about that crime report.
It's almost a meditative
that
thing,
really does suck the creative energy right out of your body. When you get home at night, you're like, I have to write something real right now. Because if I have to do...
I think as writers, we go through those plateaus and we just can't find the inspiration. I know I have over the last couple months. And I've seen so much around me and just human interactions and how people are dealing with COVID and everything else that's going on. These are the Bob Dylan times, and it's kind of crazy to be witness to a lot of this stuff. But at the same time, sort of
it's scary. I think when you look at the world around, and if you were to look at this without a perspective, without a Bob Dylan perspective, you would you'd really be terrified of the world that we live in. But the truth is that the ebb and flow of communities. This is not only natural, but this is so enlightening of a time right now.
I think so.
We did this. We did this in the '60s. We tried to teach this through the '70s and the '80s, and it didn't necessarily take. And now we're doing it again, and maybe we'll get it right this time. Yeah. One of the things I tell people all the time is we're here in the United States right now. I know it's a global show, but we're in the United States right now. One of the things that makes this country so unique and so different, it isn't that we've solved the problems of the world. We're not great because we've solved everything. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. Sometimes we've reinvented problems that were gone years ago. It's that we don't quit. If we screw it up the first time, we promise you, within 20 years, we're coming back. We're going to do it again until it's done, and it's done, and it's done. We had a civil rights movement. We did a lot of things. We did a lot of great things. But we didn't finish the job. So here we are, 45 years later, and we're going to have another one. And we're going to do it right this time, we hope.
It's a like you said, the ebb and flow, but these things deal with human decency and just compassion and stuff like that. It's really fundamental things, and like that's just kind of the thing that as a writer you look and see, and as an editor at a newspaper you kind of hear people's fears, is what I say. There's a lot of fear about just things that people aren't quite understanding, and I will say it's an older generation that's feeling a lot of this, but that's a totally different thing.
It is.
But I had actually, this is a good segue because I had a podcast for a couple of months during all this. That's probably the biggest outlet of creativity that I did. I did it with an old college roommate of mine from Chicago. We had a radio show.
I saw that. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was actually, I joked around and said, hey man, we should bring back the radio show during this time. What a time to do it. And he ran with it. He got the editing, all that, got everything together, and I basically was like, all right, I'll co-host it with you. So we did cover a lot of topics. It's me and Sean McAdams, and we called it, our radio show was called The Experience. So we called it The Experienced, like past tense. Whatever. I said, just call it that, man. That's fine. So a lot of it was dealing with what was going on at the time. We had a director, or a friend of mine who was the director of the 40-hour film. I had her on because she was dealing with the unemployment issue here in Florida. And it was just like real people getting on, talking about issues that were going on. Some political, some we were talking creativity, but we had to stop the podcast for a mysterious reason I can't get into. But it's not there anymore. But at the same time, it segued me into another project, which is I didn't know what I was going to do with Trickster after issue 2. I thought about doing a graphic novel with more stories that would take more time, and then we just put out 10 stories or something like that. And I thought, I'm just so transitional with my stuff, and I always, when I wrote this, always thought it as a film. So what you see here is actually just a storyboard.
Your idea of a film.
So me and Sean talked about me shooting a short and doing Trickster as a short.
Wow.
So what I did was I took that very seriously, and I developed a story that I have all these stories mapped out. There's no changing them. There's so many, and there's a complete set. But for me to organically come up with a new story that would make sense, I had to kind of play with time and how old I would be, and I'm setting this up to be like maybe we'll be able to shoot in a year and a half, because it's going to be we'll build it up, and that's a good thing for me to have a slow project like that. So I had to come up with a story that wouldn't interrupt what I've already done in case I wanted to continue on this way. And it's a pretty interesting idea, and I incorporated my niece into it. As you know, all the characters in this are based off of people I know,
we talked
more
about
or less.
That on camera. These were all caricatures.
Exactly. They're heightened personalities, sort of, but I pulled my niece into it because I always had written my sister character in there, and she became more of an interesting thing because I thought I'll play with time and age up some characters and whatever. So I was going to have my niece be, someone will play the niece of Jack Augustine in the film. She'll be the center of mostly the short, but it'll also be about him as well.
That is awesome.
So, yeah, we've got ideas, and it's one of those.
That's the dangerous thing to hear a creative mind say. We've got ideas. Because, man, things are going to get crazy. Constable Michael's back behind the camera here, and he wants to know, Josh, you are well-versed in film and television and storytelling, okay? Not just doing your own, but, really, to do it well, you got to be a fan. Got to come from somewhere.
For sure.
Your favorite recent movie?
My favorite movie of all time, I can tell you,
okay,
Shawshank Redemption. And some people say it's a little cliche, but I've loved that movie since I was a young kid, probably Michael's age. Like I saw that.
Storyteller that First of all, start with the source material. Stephen King.
And I didn't read the story until all that.
One of the best storytellers of a generation, right? And then filmmaking. You look at that. That is a textbook flawless film.
Frank Darabont did that,
yeah.
right? Yep, that's right. Yeah.
A textbook flawless film. Literally, you could teach film classes.
Great,
on
like
that.
panning over and stuff like the shots that they did.
The camera work
Beautiful.
was amazing. The acting, obviously.
Story gets me. That's the story
That's
of
right.
it. Is just and as me being like the eternal pessimist, like that's just like an ironic movie for me to love.
Perfect. It is. What I loved about this story is that you could have very easily done this sort of slice of life thing about a guy in prison.
Right.
But and that really is about 2/3 of the movie. That's really what you think you're watching. It's just a sort of slice of life. It's a prison movie.
Yeah.
It's a slice of life, whatever. It's not until you get to the sort of the final 20 minutes when things start to unfold. Things unfold. They just unravel.
Well, the story just evolves, and you start to get into
And now you realize
why
that
Andy's in prison. Did he really do it?
You've been
and all
on
that,
this
and
heist movie. You've
Sure,
been on
sure.
this escape movie for 2 hours
Yeah,
and didn't
you just
know
didn't know it. Yeah.
And for me, that's just flawless storytelling.
That is
It's
good,
wonderful
yeah.
storytelling. The acting was wonderful. The cinematography, that's a flawless movie. Like you said, it might sound cliche or even like the safe bet, but
I'll tell you
how
what.
can you get any better than the movie that does everything that if you're an actor studying acting and you study Tim
absolutely.
Robbins and Morgan Freeman, not to mention William Sadler.
Yeah, he was in that,
You look at all these guys and you think, you watch performance after performance after performance,
Yeah.
from the most minor characters to the major players.
Clancy Brown was a good one
Clancy
too. with it,
Brown,
yeah.
perfect, flawless performances. You can't get any better than that.
Well, I was just thinking last night I caught a little bit of Jaws, and that's another one of my favorite movies. A movie you can't do ever again, just
Never,
the way it was done.
no.
And that's a whole different show to talk about that. But
yeah,
and then
last year when it came out, we saw Meg.
Oh, okay.
The big budget
one,
the
yeah,
Meg.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did as we watched the film was we literally counted the number of times when something was an homage or a dead knockoff to Jaws. And
The shark movie.
The movie.
It's it,
The
period.
movie was obviously a big budget, huge blockbuster success, and there have been tons of shark movies. You can go, right now, if you go onto the sci-fi.com, you will see every bad shark movie
sure, there's a
ever
dozen,
made.
yeah.
There's millions of them, from Sharknado to all kinds of other shark movies. Now, that being said, the Meg did it right. They made money. Audiences loved them. And when you watch the movie, you're looking at it as, oh my gosh, all they did was update.
Dial up Jaws.
They dialed up Jaws and update. Well, they had to dial up the size, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
Because
Bigger's better.
Jaws isn't scary anymore. The kids are like watching Jaws.
I know,
going,
and that's
"What
the
is
thing.
that?
Yeah, they're
oh
like,
my God, it's so fake.
I want them to watch the documentary that they made about how they made Jaws. 'Cause
Yeah.
even that's almost as interesting as the movie itself.
brilliant.
It's just so great. So,
Brilliant, yeah. And again, another movie where performance was everything.
Yeah,
Because,
that's true.
just you
That
watch
improv
these
line
young-
of we need
We need a bigger boat.
That's
We're gonna
the
need
greatest.
a bigger boat.
I said that.
Yeah. Roy Scheider, first of all, brilliant actor to start with. And
That's just
always,
a great trio of actors. I mean,
a
a
great
great
where are you
story,
ever gonna
very
get that?
simple. It's man versus beast, and it's very like at the time that it came out in the '70s, like it just has a feel to it. You feel like you're on that boat out there. And
You do.
Spielberg did that on purpose to never show land, to make sure that people thought, well, they just can't turn around and go home that easily and stuff. It's just great. It's a great movie.
It was fantastic.
And me and my
now
niece
you have
Peyton
film projects coming up.
I do.
What do you got? What
besides-
what can we talk about?
We can talk about.
We live in a world now where people are terrified of spoilers. It's almost people are as afraid of spoilers as we are of Jaws.
I was thinking about spoilers. There's a movie that a short film that I will be taking part in next month, and it's a guy named Xavier Landers, who I was an extra in a music video for him. Was the last thing I did. I tripped and fell in the scene when I was running, and they took it. It was like supposed to be a chaotic like chasing scene. I actually fell on the concrete. They took the shot, and it was great. Got paid $50 to fall on the floor. Awesome. Yeah.
I do that for free
It was
every
great.
morning.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
this is art. But,
Wow.
But I'm doing a film with him. I can't talk too much about it other than the fact that it's very appropriate for the times. The role that I'm going to be playing is a robber. I'm a thief, kind of strung out and desperate. So that was an easy audition for me.
Wow.
I just did it on a Tuesday after a workload, and I was just like, I already look like I've been up for 3 days, so let's do this. But I did get the script for Bocus 2 a couple weeks ago.
That's something else, guys. For you
Bocus
guys
2.
out there who haven't checked out
It's
Bocus
happening.
yet, it is a independent film shot entirely on literally the filmmaker's budget. It's a good friend of the show, Mr. Jake Estrada, the editor and creator of the Space Coast Comics. He put this out. He filmed this over the course of over a year.
Yeah, a year and a half
in
or
bits and pieces, and just this is a homemade indie film, 100%, all local talent, all community based. And now I understand that Bocus 2 is set to he's got some awesome creative ideas. He's got cast members coming back. You've got the script.
I did. I read the script.
I know we can't talk too much
Can't
about
talk
it.
too much about it. He told me that, just talk about what you want to talk about. And I read the script, and I can tell you he's got everybody coming back in a way that's organic, and he's got a lot of things planned for it. So you knew he was having a lot of fun when he wrote this. And as I'm reading it, I'm reading Heel's, Robert Heel's parts, and I'm like, he wrote this with me in mind. You could definitely tell the difference between the script that I originally got for Bocus and me saying, can I improv a couple of things and blah, blah. And now he's got a script that he wrote that role
Character
for
for
me in
you.
mind. And I appreciate that as an artist and a writer and stuff like that.
Fantastic.
But yeah, we're going to see what happens with it. I've got questions for him. I really want to kind of dig into the character. You know me with this character. I just kind of dove into him.
It's fun.
And it's kind of fun to dip back into this version of him because I didn't know I was going to survive the first movie. We shot that stabbing and the resurrection or whatever you want to call it as an alternate scene sort of deal. I didn't think it was going to be in the final product, but it was. And so there's like this mystery of where is Heel? What's going on with him? And what's happened? I can tell you, it's explosive. The script is explosive, I can say, with all kinds of different things.
That is awesome. I
Set
love
at
it.
Christmas time, which is an integral part to the story, and he just brings in these elements that are
Jake
so
is an amazing
creative.
storyteller. He really
Yeah.
is. Because he has a good idea of the kind of story he wants to show you in every scene.
He
He's
just
got
goes
a
with
map
it. That's
with
what
it,
he
yeah.
does, and I respect that.
And
but
she's going to flash that
there
thing
she
at
is
us
again.
over again, over and
There
over
she
and over
is,
again.
always
Guys,
interrupting.
thank you guys so much for being with us. Thank you to Famous Spaces and Funnies, JBauerArt, Space Coast Comic, Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, Mommy and G Creations for all of our merchandising needs, and our great friends at Brevard Film and Talent for all of their help. Thank you so much for tuning in and logging on. Keep coming back for more and see who we're hanging with next.
Awesome. There we go.
Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.